I think we're good.
We rolling?
Yep.
You're good. Okay. Again, my name is AJ Downey.
I'm Kate Meek.
Andrew Davis.
I'm Maddie Fagan.
Today we're going to be talking about career technical ed, or also known as workforce education. We have a couple learning expectations that we're hoping that you guys get out of our presentation today. We hope that you get just a basic understanding of workforce ed. Also get a better appreciation of the impacts of it on the local, national, and state levels. And also by the end, we want you to understand the importance of continuing to invest in workforce ed.
A big part of it too is we're just going to kind of hit on the history of where it came from and where it started to. So workforce education, career technical education is the high school term. The definition of career technical education is schools or institutions and educational programs that specialize in skilled trades or applied sciences or modern technologies. This is go ahead.
Yeah, a little video just before we get into the history and some of the impacts of it. We have a video. It's kind of telling what's the big deal with CT. So you can watch this, and we'll talk a little bit after.
You might need to turn it up.
What if a nursing college cared for its students the same way nurses cared for their patients? What would happen? Something extraordinary. Join us. Chamberlain College of Nursing. Extraordinary care, extraordinary nurses.
So as you can see from that video, there's a lot of changes going on in our country right now, and it just kind of shows the significance and impact of CTE. And from that, we got another slide, kind of just reviewing what was just said there.
Yeah, so basically just the lowdown just with the video is, I mean, it kind of gives students the opportunities to just to prepare them for what comes after high school, whether it's they want to pursue college or actually join the workforce after graduating. Again, during school, during like the career technical education when they're going through high school, they have the opportunity to experience on-the-job training or even school-to-work programs where they're able to go to work and go to school at the same time. So, you know, it's both academic and career-oriented, so it allows let students kind of be able to decide what they want to do post high school.
Makes them feel like they have a choice in what they're learning. So some of the history, it went all the way back to the Middle Ages. Like, basically, CT was what started education. So they would go through apprenticeships and whatnot. So you would basically, your parents would send you off to this like electrician, and that's what you're gonna learn, that's what you're gonna do, and then you master it, and then that's your trade for life. So, and then when it was first started, it was controlled by the city or town. Now it's a little bit more ran by the state. And then, so if it was like a farming community, you're going to learn about farming. They didn't see a point in teaching about something that had nothing to do with the career field that's available for them.
Again, like the history is pretty interesting because, I mean, just kind of like what she said, they didn't really, it was community-based, so a lot of the teachings were focused on what the community needed instead of, like kind of what she said,
That's
just,
what the students would want.
yeah, not really what the students really had a choice. And it was interesting too because they, you know, they had religious vocational education back in the 17th, 18th century.
This was a little bit more catered for the United States. So we kind of talked how it's started out kind of in the Middle Ages and the Roman Empire used it, but also in the United States they kind of broke it down into 4 different sections of CTE. The awakening section is kind of just, there was an urgency by children and families back from the founding of the United States. They realized that our leaders, they need to be educated, they need to have certain skills. So it was kind of that awakening where they realized, hey, our students, our children need to be more prepared for the roles that they're going to be filling. And also in the independent action years, which were the 50 years after that, it was just kind of more enhanced. We had seeing more students getting into these trades and in these skills.
And then it was kind of viewed as if you were not going to college, you were going to do something vocational. So.
Yeah, and like it was interesting too because in the awakening section, actually like writing and like literacy was actually one of the vocations that was being taught, which I thought was, you know, interesting because that's like taught in normal education now.
So those were the first 2, and then the second 2.
Vocational education age emerges. So a few years after that, the first manual training schools were established in St. Louis, and the first trade school opened in New York. So as you can see that it was spreading across the United States, and the bills began to pass to support CTE in new areas. So every state was being reached. And also the coming of age, where the first massive acceptance of CTE came in 1945 at the end of World War I, and CTE expanded to include adult education and the retraining of the citizens for the workforce, in addition to surge during World War II where technical skills were needed.
Just out of curiosity, does anybody know why it was World War I at the end of it? Why that was kind of like the first mass acceptance of CTE?
The need of time.
Yeah, I mean they needed people for defensive purposes, and they needed people with certain skills and trades to be able to fill in. So,
Can I ask a question? First mass acceptance of CTE came in 1945. That was World War II.
Yeah, I think that date was wrong.
The date was wrong or the war was wrong?
It was World War I.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I believe that's when the surge kind of took place, was at 1945.
A big change came in 2006. That's why we kind of jumped from 76 to 2006, where vocational was for people who were not going to college, who were just going to go to high school, get this training, and get a job right out of high school. But then they changed to CTE for career technical, because then it was viewed towards you're going to start in this field, then you're going to go to college for it, and then you'll master it. So I thought that was really important to include in there.
So some of the, a lot of the federal government started to take control of funding, and bills were passed by the president. There's a few bills that were kind of important throughout history. The Smith-Hughes Act It was passed in 1917, and basically to support and promote like vocational schooling, but mainly for like agriculture education. Anybody that wanted to become a farmer or wanted to go into that route, then they had funding that was able to teach them. The George Reed Act of 1929, again, it was kind of just a tag along to the Smith-Hughes Act to just kind of add more funding. And they also added the home economics into the mix with agriculture at the time. The third one that was of importance was the George Barden Vocational Educational Act. This was taking place in 1946, and it increased federal funding kind of just to expand the vocational sector of schooling. And the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Act was actually created in 2006, just basically to ensure that vocational programs were also competitive academically, to where they can have, they were provided funding for just to have challenging academics in their schools. From what I last read, that actually got amended in 2011 or 2010, and then, so they're still in the midst of making vocational education better and kind of comparing it to what, preparing students not only for the workforce, but also college.
For the state for CTE, it's very important that we have this education because for individuals, period, it's higher productivity for the state and higher pay for the citizens. And for higher pay, you end up, the state gets taxes back for the state, so it's good for them if they have that education. And it decreases unemployment, so that's good also for the state. And pretty much just a better life for the citizens. It's more opportunity to be successful and be able to have a family and survive.
According to the National Center of Education Statistics, students are less likely to drop out of high school. Kind of going back to what we were saying, that if they feel like they're in charge of what they're learning, or if they feel like it's what they want to learn, they're going to stay in school. Oh, and then also that I just wanted to add in that they're starting the career tech in adult correctional centers. That's what I was trying to think of. And that so when they get out of jail or prison, that they have something that they can work towards instead of falling back into the bad habits that they did before. Around our area, we're really blessed with a lot of technical schools that we're all going to be traveling to. They're listed here.
So as you can kind of see, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. If we have more educated people within our local area, essentially that they're going to be better leaders for our state and our governments of the state, and hopefully then at the national level. And so the national level people who are governing our nation, they're going to impact us at this local level as well. So just because you feel minimal at this level, it doesn't mean that you're not impacting the nation as a whole. And that's, I mean, we're seeing that with CTE, we're getting more and more skilled educators and individuals.
And kind of just to tag on to what Andrew was saying is, like with CTE, I mean, a lot of the funding is coming from the federal government, where like a public school is state funded or funded by the local communities, taxes, and so I mean, I think this is just kind of the beginning of CTE before, you know, the next step where they are going to implement new programs. And I had a student actually taking like exercise science at Penn Career Center, and I never even realized that they offered that in high school. So I think like from here on out, you know, CTE is going to kind of take off both locally throughout the state and even through the federal government.
Also, definitely like in my area where I used to live, not Houston, but we have a vocational school that's called Pioneer, and I think it really helps our high school area because there's a lot of kids that don't really feel comfortable going to college. And I know that like that's supposed to help you go to college, but there's some CTE programs where you can go to Pioneer for your last 2 years of high school, and you can end up just going out into the real world and getting a job after high school. So it really helps them if they're not feeling comfortable going to college and end up getting a job.
Kind of have a similar story at Millstream Career Center. There is a welding program. There's a two big welding factories in Findlay, and they used to have to go to, it was somewhere down south for one of the welding schools there to recruit people to work for them. But since Findlay started offering the welding program, they are having internships and like going right in after high school to these welding places, so it's putting more money into our local economy.
As she said, that just kind of reiterated what you said. Last couple slides that we have here, as AJ said, we see a CTE emerging in the next couple years, and these kind of just show where CTE is at right now. Studies have shown that CTE is now serving over 12.5 million people, and some estimates have even been up to 14 million. And they're also in the process of implementing a, it's called the CCTC, the Common Career Technical Core. And that's basically the benchmark standards for what students need to be learning and what they will get by going through the process. So these are just a couple of associations that we're seeing that are really backing CTE and helping to make sure the federal government is backing it as well.
Recent statistics, more of them. In the United States, we have fallen in many categories. We are 7th overall in terms of competitive nations, and we were 14th in the educational attainment, 12th in science, and 17th in mathematics. And the high school graduation rates for CTE programs are 90%, which is awesome. And for normal public education, it's 74%. So as you can see, that has really helped. And 47 million jobs will be opening in 2018 for people in the CTE programs. So that's awesome.
Kind of to add to the recent statistics, I've been in the construction field for a little over 7 years, and I've worked for a lot of general contractors. I went through an apprenticeship, I went through a vocational school as well. But a lot of the guys that I still talk to who are my friends through the general contractors and stuff, and they call me weekly and ask me, hey, do you know anybody that can come to work? Or, you know, they're seeing such an influx in students who are graduating high school that want to join a construction trade. So I think, you know, CTE is only going to benefit that, and it's going to, you know, to see an influx in your construction industry where your construction industry is booming is not really good, because that just means there's too many people retiring and not enough people, you know, to replace them. So I think the opportunity to have a good job and actually be able to support your family without a college degree is going to be wide open in the years to come.
So this is where we have our activity. We know we threw a lot of information at you at once, and we're going to see if you were able to recall any of it. Does anybody know what Kahoot is? Can you kind of tell the rest of the class what Kahoot is?
It's like a, I don't know, it's like a Survey Monkey type thing, but it's a game where you go on, there's questions, and you compete against the same people who are entered in.
Student response. Yeah. Okay, so if you go to kahoot.it, has everyone gone there so far? Just click on that. Then when you get set, you can enter the game.
Who put DJ's favorite?
Okay, so we got 6 people in. Okay, we're good to go.
You're not supposed to
Now,
tell
it
them.
does benefit you to put in the answer early. The quicker you put your answer in, the more points you can get, but you also have to get the answer correct as well. So we're going to start here. We got 12 questions for you. Just hit start. Just hit start. First question, what does CTE stand for? Ooh.
Yes.
DJ's leading.
Not for long.
Okay. How many jobs are estimated to be opening by 2018? 4 of them right. He is
Ouch.
still winning. Some of these were in our presentation today, and some of them are just random facts that were thrown at you.
What percentage of dropouts said that more real-world learning may have influenced them to stay? Sorry.
Natalie's overtaken.
Good job.
What year did the verbiage change from vocational and technical to career and technical?
Oh.
Students are less likely to drop out if they find the information blank and blank.
What is the United States ranked in mathematics?
What caused the first mass acceptance of CTE? Who's this? Who's 6'6"? Let's see. Okay.
Where was the first manual training school established?
The abbreviation CCTC stands for Common Career Technical Corps. True or false? CTE was called vocational schooling, and many of the programs are known as
TJ, you're falling in the ranks.
I know, I told you.
Which act was created to increase federal funding for vocational education in 1946?
Okay, and our last question here. CTE goes back as far as the Middle Ages and was utilized by the Roman Empire. Is that true or false? And our winner is Natalie. And that is all that we got for you today. So, hope you learned something from our presentation.
Any questions?
Stop the video while you guys are setting up.